Remember. 90.3 FM, WHPC, Garden City, New York, from the Pressbox. I'm Rob Leonard. Joining me, of course, is award-winning sports writer Tim Leonard.
How are you?
As we talk sports every Monday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. I thought I'd play this song for our friends in Great Britain. You know,
a great choice of music for a change.
Because I wonder if this was being played to promote or not promote what's known as the Brexit.
I'm sure some wise person at the BBC probably threw this on it.
I don't know if the BBC would even do it. They're so
uptight, I think is the word you're looking for.
I think they're still uptight over there, you know. But they decided to get out of the European Union. The British pound went down to a 31-year low. Considerably,
yeah. And the U.S. stock market went down 600 points.
Yeah, just because.
So for everybody who thinks this is a great thing, not really.
Not really. Anyway, we talk sports every Monday, and as always, great stories have happened this week. First of all,
by the way, just before you come in, see, I'm wearing my Ireland shirt today.
Right, because they voted to stay with the Europeans.
No, this is
Scotland.
This is my ode to the Trish Mafia, as we call them. Because Ireland actually lost to Italy in the Euro 2016 tournament
and
the other day.
Tears were
yes, tears were flowing. Ireland actually led in that game, and then France came back.
And who won yesterday?
France.
Germany. Won the tournament.
Copa America, you mean?
Yeah.
Chile.
Yeah, they
beat Argentina, and then
Lionel
Messi retired.
The guy kicked the ball over the net.
That's Messi. Messi, the supposed greatest player in the world.
Yeah,
you know what that's called? That's called skying one.
Yeah, he kicked it like he was going for a field goal.
Well, that's what happened. Okay. And then he retired from international competition right after the game.
Well,
We'll be talking about that a little later.
Maybe, yeah. So anyway, I think the big story, well, first of all, Jose Reyes being signed by the Mets. Right now he's playing for the Brooklyn Cyclones, so they can see what he's up to.
Go see him soon.
Go see him for
$10.
They go on a road trip tomorrow, so we can't go.
Go see him today.
But they're on a road trip tomorrow. But
all the media will be cleared out by then. So.
Yeah, the story. It's going to be an interesting story with him. We'll talk about him in a minute. Finally, the Knicks. Let's start off with the Knicks. The Knicks made a decent trade.
It was kind of a no-brainer trade.
You should say Derrick Rose was acquired from the Knicks for Robin Lopez, Jerry Grant, and Jose Calderon. They go to the Chicago Bulls. Let's be honest, the Knicks fans are happy about this, because what else can they be happy about?
When you don't have a draft pick for the recently completed draft, which was also last week, there's not much to be happy about. But let's put it this way, all right? I am not among those Knicks fans who have just completely gone insane and think that suddenly now they're a contender. Because Knicks fans, you need to slow your roll, because you're not a contender. And you're not really close to being a contender.
Well, they're closer than we were last week.
Well, what does that mean? You're talking about a team that went from 35 wins to maybe they'll go to 40-something wins.
That could make the
playoffs. Here's the issue that the Knicks need to deal with, and Knicks fans need to deal with. You have not gotten the Derrick Rose who was the MVP in the 2010-11 season.
Right.
That's not the Derrick Rose the Knicks have acquired. That's like saying that the Mets have acquired the Jose Reyes from 10 years ago, when Jose could run and actually a triple was a common thing. All right? This Derrick Rose, who the Knicks have acquired, is a pretty good guard. But is he an elite point guard? Not really. Not anymore. Certainly not to the level that he used to be. All right? Back when Rose was an MVP and he was 22 years old and before he tore his ACL and missed almost 2 seasons. All right, how many? Usually an ACL is a 1-year injury. Derrick Rose had a couple of setbacks. He played he missed the 2012-13 season and then missed all but 10 games of the following season. And the whole season was spent saying, when is Derrick Rose coming back? When is his knee going to be all right? And it was basically Derrick Rose almost held the Bulls hostage because he kept saying, well, I feel something in my knee. I feel something in my knee. And the doctor was like, we have no idea what he's feeling in his knee, and we can't figure out what's wrong with him, so we don't know how to treat it. So that the Derrick Rose the Knicks have acquired, and I'm going to say this before I say anything else. Phil Jackson had to make this deal because it's a low risk.
Well, he also had to make a deal.
It's a low risk, potentially high reward trade for the Knicks. I mean, Robin Lopez was a solid player for them last year.
I like Robin.
He wasn't great. He's got that crazy hair, which is probably why you like him. Jerry Grant, we don't know what he is yet. Last year he was drafted late in the first round, and you don't know what kind of point guard he will be. Jose Calderon is no big loss, but this trade has created other holes for the Knicks. All right, the Knicks don't have a rebounder right now.
Nope.
And anybody who thinks that just because Kristaps Porzingis is 7'3" and he'll grab rebounds, Porzingis is more of a finesse type of player. He's not a banger, and that's the role that Lopez served. He would, he's completely the opposite of his brother, who Brook Lopez, the twins. But Brook Lopez, if he grabs 5 rebounds a game, he thinks he's done his job. Robin Lopez is a guy who can get 12 and 13 and 14 rebounds. Not that he did it that often,
sort
but
of like
he's
me
capable
being
of
the
doing it.
rebounder and you being the less of the rebounder.
I'm the finesse guy.
Yes, I'm the big bully under the board.
All right, I can go with that. But Porzingis will improve. His rebounding will improve. He's 7'3", so he should be able to grab his share of rebounds. But who else do the Knicks have who's capable of getting under the boards and doing some of the dirty work? They don't have anybody else now.
I think.
And wait, before they don't have a backup point guard right now.
Yeah.
And you've just acquired a guy who, in the last 5 years, is best known for being hurt.
Okay, but this is the first step. I think you can't say, well, we need this, this, and this. We know this, but you got to line it up first before you can get the backup guys. And we do need a rebounder. I shouldn't say we, because I don't work for the Knicks.
You can sign for the Knicks.
You
can be that rebounder.
I do own stock in MSG, but that's another thing. Like many people. But I think this is a good start. I mean,
like I said, it's a deal that Jackson had to make, and it does make the Knicks better. Yeah, that's why I said it's a low risk, high reward. Because if Derrick Rose can somehow recapture and that player that he was and get back to being an elite point guard in the NBA, then the Knicks have struck gold, basically. They're certainly a better top 3 players now than they were last year. With Porzingis having a year more of experience and knowing the league more, he's going to improve. You have to hope that Carmelo, with another year on him, isn't getting worse because he's that much older. He's, 33 years old now, I think.
Right.
So Derrick Rose, like I said, he's an improvement, but his season and his worth to the Knicks will be judged as much about how many games he plays as it is his performance on the court. So that's the maybe factor of this, that you can't assess Derrick Rose as a player, because you can't say, well, Derrick Rose, he averaged 25 points, 7.7 assists in 2010 when he won the MVP. Well, that guy hasn't shown up for 5 years.
Yeah,
he hasn't been a player in the NBA.
Maybe everything shows up now. That you got to, in this part of the season, the off season, you got to think positive.
I prefer to think realistically, brother.
Well,
that's what I do.
As Knicks fans know, thinking positive helps get through the season.
Thinking positive is the only way people got through the Isaiah Thomas era.
Right.
All right. But there was nothing positive to think about.
Nothing.
All right.
Fact.
But like I said, I don't want to sit here and just make it sound negative, because this deal is a positive for the Knicks.
It is. How can they not?
But I would have preferred if they would have traded Carmelo Anthony and tried to make something work with the Lakers for that number 2 pick.
I know, that was
I've said
your
this
plan.
More and more.
And it was a good idea, but you know what?
I don't know if those talks actually even happened.
Well, let's be honest. As much as it would have been a good trade to get rid of Carmelo for the guys you talked about.
We'll set the Knicks up for the next 10 years.
But, let's be honest, Knicks fans and the Knicks and MSG and everything else, they want instant milk. They don't want to go to the cow and go through that process. So that's part of it. And I think, this is going to be 3rd year for Phil Jackson coming up. He has a 4-year deal.
I'd be happy if he opted out. He can opt out after this season.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I think if Knicks don't do anything after the 3rd season, I think he goes back to Montana and hangs out with Jeannie Buss.
Or he goes to work for the Lakers.
Or he goes
Maybe
back,
that's why he didn't make the trade.
Or he goes to the Lakers, and then Jeannie Buss comes back and she kicks her brother out of running the team.
Well, her brother has one more year. That's the deal that they had.
Well,
he gets to run the team, and what happened? There's a lot of stuff going on in the NBA. There's all kinds of talk about who's going to the Lakers, and supposedly Kevin Durant is part of that, and that was the other thing. That Phil Jackson, the big report was that Phil Jackson told Derrick Rose that he's going after Kevin Durant in free agency.
Right.
So what?
So does everyone else.
All right. First of all, I don't understand why everybody thinks, or some people think, I guess I should say, that the Knicks are some sort of desirable destination, because they're not. All right?
Right.
Two reasons. A, obviously the lack of success that the team has had over the last, 20-some years. I mean, that's how long we're talking about now.
Right.
We're talking about decades. We're not talking, and I'm not even talking about since the last title in 1973. I'm talking about since the Knicks were a relevant contender in the Patrick Ewing days.
Right.
All right. You see the special on O.J. Simpson, the Made in America thing. That's 20 years ago.
22 years ago.
All right. That's when the Knicks were basically last relevant.
Right. Well, they made the finals in '99. So. Hey, they did.
Fluke. All right, I'll give you that. But still,
it was a fluke. You're right. It was a fluke because they were the number 18.
Right.
And they had a great run.
Yes.
And then they came up against San Antonio, and San Antonio just destroyed them.
But
Patrick Ewing didn't play that year.
But even if
he didn't play that.
But even if you want to talk '99, all right, next season is 2016-17.
Right.
That's 17, 18 years.
I know.
And the Knicks have been awful during it. It's not even like they've been close. They've been awful.
Right, I agree.
All right. So what happens? I just read this last night. Between last night and today, this morning. This is how hard I'm working on this show. 7:30 in the morning, I'm reading stories.
Okay.
All right. Phil says he's going after Durant. Well, Kevin Durant announces that he's going to have face-to-face meetings sometime in the next couple weeks because free agency period starts on July 1st. He announces he will have face-to-face meetings with the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is understandable. That's his team.
Right.
The Golden State Warriors, also understandable. Great team.
Right.
Winning situation.
Plus, they have something to prove next season.
Yes. And who's the third team that Kevin Durant says he's going to have face-to-face with?
The Knicks.
The San Antonio Spurs. No Knicks. All right. And then, because, like I said, I worked so hard on the show, 7:30 this morning, there was a second story from Chris Broussard, who I'll be honest, I don't regard him as the best source in the world, but I'm here to report. He works for ESPN.com. I'm not a big fan, but whatever. But in the interest of fairness, Broussard announces that Durant has added 3 more teams to his list. The Boston Celtics, which is a possible winning situation. They still have a lot of draft picks, even though the Celtics really did screw up the draft in the other day.
Right.
The Miami Heat.
Okay.
And who's the other? One more team is the
New Jersey Nets.
No, God, nobody wants to go there.
Brooklyn Nets.
No, one more guess.
You're
You're supposed to say the New York Knicks.
Washington Wizards.
No, he's not even going there, and that's his hometown team. And the sixth team is not the Knicks, the Los Angeles Clippers.
Clippers. Why would you want to go there?
So now Phil Jackson claims that he's going to go hard after Durant. Durant wants no part of the Knicks. Just like last year, LaMarcus Aldridge, who Phil Jackson also said he was going after, wanted no part of the Knicks. Signed with the San Antonio Spurs.
Well,
players want to go to winning situations. Players don't want to look at a roster and say, if I sign there, now we'll win. No, they want to go to a team that's already in that situation.
But part of coming to New York in the old days, it's not maybe as much now, is that you've got the contracts, the outside contracts.
Now it doesn't matter.
Now it doesn't matter because Kevin Durant can play in Oklahoma City and people still know who he is.
Kevin Durant has a 9-figure shoe deal. 9. That's over $100 million.
Yeah, wow.
Playing in Oklahoma City. He doesn't need to play in New York. Because here's the other thing. The number 2 reason that I alluded to before. Number 1 being the lack of success. Number 2 is the New York state and city tax situation.
Yeah.
Makes players not want to come here. Because you can go to Miami and get tax-free.
Yeah, but you could live in Florida like A-Rod and Jeter.
Jeter got called on that. Jeter had IRS issues because of that. reportedly.
A-Rod lives down in Florida. So he's a Florida resident.
It's a gray area because A-Rod was born in Florida. He probably could claim that in some ways, but because baseball players are in their cities,
right,
at least 6 months out of the year, it's hard to say that that's not your permanent residence,
right?
Because you're there, but you're traveling, and these guys are on the road all the time, so it's one of those gray areas. You need a good tax accountant. Is basically what it comes down to.
But then again, he might run out because some people do that. They'll literally run out of the state after the game.
Well, not after the game, but after the season for sure.
Well,
they
have a day off.
They're down there the next day. But
you can't blame your taxes on it because
yes, you can.
Well, that's part of it, but it's not all of it.
But if a guy is signing a $150 million contract,
but if the Knicks start winning, hold it. If the Knicks start winning tomorrow, people are going to line up to start playing here. They're not going to say,
get it done.
Well, yeah, but they're not going to say, well, my taxes, I don't want to play the winning team because of the taxes.
Why do you think that players want to go to Golden State now?
Because they're winning.
Oakland is such a desirable location?
No. It's because they're winning now. That's why.
Yeah.
Well, that's
how many games did the Knicks win last year?
I don't know, 30.
Yeah.
So
stop the delusional thinking and ridiculous daydreaming that Kevin Durant is coming to the New York Knicks. It's not happening.
Well, it's Phil Jackson's job to do that. That's the problem.
What is he supposed to say? Stoke unrealistic expectations?
What is he supposed to say? Well, we're not even going to try. He's going to try. That's what they do.
The problem is that the idiots get all fired up and say, KD's coming to New York. No, he's not. I'm here to tell you. I'm here to give you the reality slap that everybody needs, and he's not coming here. He might sit down and talk to the Knicks. You know why? Because he wants a free weekend in New York.
That'd be great.
Put him up at the Plaza. He'll hang out. He'll go to the 21 Club or wherever. He'll go to Budokan or whatever and get himself a really nice meal. Maybe Jean George, wherever. All kinds of great restaurants in New York. And wouldn't it be great to have somebody else pay for it?
Of course.
I mean, even millionaires are cheap.
That's true. They're probably cheaper than us.
So, I mean, I certainly wouldn't blame him for that, but, that's where we are right now with the situation. Like I said, are the Knicks a better team now? Yes. If Derrick Rose can stay healthy, and even last year, Derrick Rose was, 17.7 points, or actually, no, 16.4 points and 4.7 assists. My issue with Derrick Rose, getting back to him, is that since his injury, he has not averaged even 5 assists a game. This guy was a 7.5, almost 8 assists per game guy.
Right.
Recently, like I said, 17.7 and 4.9 assists 2 years ago. Last season, 16.4 and 4.7. Again, that's a pretty good point guard. Certainly a better point guard than the Knicks have had in at least a decade. But
I want to say since Charlie Ward, maybe. Maybe.
I don't know. We said this last week. Charlie Ward, pretty good player. He might be the best since Charlie Ward, which is kind of an indictment of because Charlie Ward really wasn't that good.
No, but he was, for what he was.
He was an acceptable point guard. Let's put it that way. But now I'm hearing all this chatter about, we'll get Jeremy Lin back to be Derrick Rose's backup. Carmelo Anthony despises Jeremy Lin.
Okay.
Despises
Jeremy Lin. You said Lin back. That's
no, to get him back. To get Jeremy Lin back.
Jeremy Lin.
Two separate words.
Okay. So I think you know what, Jeremy Lin. I like Jeremy Lin when he plays.
Yeah, the fans like Jeremy Lin. Carmelo Anthony doesn't like him.
Wow.
So just scratch him off the list. He's not coming back.
Well, that's unfortunate because he could have stayed with the Knicks. So.
No, that contract, that would have been a bad match.
Well,
it would have been a horrible match, as a matter of fact.
Well,
because not only because Carmelo hated him, but because the contract was backloaded. Jeremy Lin would have made something like $16 million last year. That's how the contract was structured. Disaster.
Okay, we're going to take a break. You're listening to From the Press Box right here on 90.3 FM WHPC. If you have a comment or question, the phone line is open, 516-572-7440.
Anime watchers, comic book enthusiasts, lend me your ears. For today, you experience a radio show unlike any other. It's Nerdvana.